Hey, everybody on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you so much for joining today. Today, we're going to talk about negative spirits, bad spirits, toxic spirits. Do I believe they are here with us? Do I know if they are or they aren't here with us? And then I'm going to tell you a little story about a negative spirit that came into my existence, my world, and how I dealt with that. Okay, Instagram, we're live. YouTube, live. Anybody wants to ask a question, just put it in the chat window or comment window, and I will talk about that toward the end of this video. Okay, so before I became a medium, I certainly believed in ghosts. I believed in spirits. I believed in aliens. I believed in UFOs. I had an experience of my own back as a child where a UFO appeared in the sky right above our front yard. I was probably 7 or 8, and a bunch of my siblings and me, I'll say, because there were probably 3 or 4 of us, saw it. It was pretty close. And then we ran into the house and continued to watch this spaceship hover above our yard. And then I'll say that because it was pretty close to our yard. Hey, Colin, thanks for joining. And from the inside, of our door, through the window, we continued to watch it. So I knew they existed. To me, I just couldn't fathom how we could be the only ones in our universe, the only ones available to speak, to feel, to hear anything that's going out there in the world, in the universe, millions of universes, right? So do I call negative spirits extraterrestrials? No, I just call them star beings, ETs. To me, I do have an experience as I became a medium. I did have an experience because I speak to many ETs, many star beings in my readings. Not everybody is open to them, but I find that if a client is called to me as a medium and a star being comes to me, I have to be very leery of how I introduce that into the reading. So most of the time I will say, so do you think there's other things up there besides humans? Do you look at the sky and wonder? And as soon as they say, yes, I do. And that's when I could go full into that. They are understanding what I'm trying to get out. But I'm not going to talk about star beings right now. I could save that for another video. I'm talking about negative spirits. Before I became a medium, hey there, before I became a medium, I don't think I ever felt anything negative. I know when I was a child, I had an imaginary friend, but I did not remember that imaginary friend, not until I became a medium. So keep that in your thoughts as I move forward here. Negative spirits in the new paradigm, you've heard me say before, there is no good, bad, right, or wrong. But that doesn't mean that bad things, wrong things don't cause us to have an emotion that may be once we viewed as negative. Those emotions and those feelings are meant to be recognized, are meant to be called in so that we can process them, so that we can make our way and figure out why they're in existence in our realm. I've definitely walked into places where I felt, I'm going to call it a lower vibration, not a negative or a bad spirit, but a lower vibration. We know we're here to raise our vibration. We know that the new paradigm is about raising our vibration to a love vibration. So I've walked into prisons, old prisons, into areas where I felt that lower vibration, and it caused in me, I was nauseous, my body started to shake immediately. And I knew that my vibration wasn't up there enough to be able to receive that lower vibration was affecting me because I was not in my higher vibration. I've learned now that if that happens, I know that, I'm aware of that, and I move away from that vibration until I'm better able to deal with it. When I do readings, I am always in that higher vibrational state. I am always surrounded by my guides that protect and honor me. So I trust that. Now, you've seen movies, right? I like watching those sort of movies, especially the ones based on true stories. And you'll notice the ones that were based on true stories, that the entity, the spirit, the ghost, whatever you want to call it, attached to the person in the family or the home that had a lower vibration, maybe had some depression, maybe had some challenges of their own, where that lower vibration entity, I'll call it, could attach to it and cause harm. Yes, I do think they can cause harm if you're in that lower vibrational state. I do support and shout out to all those mediums and ghost hunters, different phenomena out there that go out there into those sort of areas, homes, and work on raising that vibration, changing that vibration, moving those lower vibrational entities away from and more toward the light. I do believe that's something you can do. So when I became a medium, I set an intention that those lower vibrational or negative spirits wouldn't be around me. I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to accept that. In fact, there was one time where I had someone working on me, some sort of energy work, and Abraham Lincoln, my spirit guide, stood in between myself and that person so as not to allow any of this person's vibrational work to be around me. I noticed that immediately, that he did that for me. Now, I was doing this just because it was something to do. I felt nothing bad for the person, but obviously Abraham Lincoln thought that there was something that he needed to protect me from. So again, I trust that. So if a negative spirit did enter my vibration, later on, I recognized, okay, what was I going to do about that? How was I going to deal with that? I'll say in the year, now to my experience, I'll say about, it had to be 2013 when I was living in Virginia, and I sat in a meditation on my own. And, you know, if you've done readings with me, I see things in my head, and everything that I see, where that spirit is or entity is, how they're dressed, the way they're facing, I look at first before I telepathically let anything in to my vibration. So I'm sitting in my house in my own meditation, and in my mind, in a distance, appeared this very dark soul, it was a child, it was a girl. Her dress was dirty, her face was dirty, her teeth were dirty, her eyes were sullen. Anything you can imagine a ghost would look like, that's what she looked like to me. And again, it was in a distance. It was a distant in my head. I immediately shook myself out of my meditation and said to myself, oh no, I do not let that sort of thing enter my vibration. Thanks everybody for joining. Any comments or likes? I love it. I immediately called up a good friend of mine, Diane, who is now in the non-physical world. She crossed later that year or the next year. And I said to her, I told her the story. And she said to me, like I just told you, and she said to me, oh, Donna, that's just a piece of you that needs to be acknowledged. Call that little girl in to your awareness and ask her what she needs. Well, I got mad at Diane. I said, what the F? You don't know what you're talking about. And I hung up on her. I thought about it for a moment, knowing that Diane at that time was much wiser than I was. I called her back and I said, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. What do you think I should do? She said, call her in. Just like I said, just call her in. Call her in. Tell her to come here. Tell her to come close to you. I said, okay. So after I got the nerve to do it again, I sat in my meditation. She immediately appeared in the distance. And I got up the courage, knowing that I had guides around me that were protecting me. And I called her in. I said, I see you. Would you like to come closer and speak with me? So she starts to walk closer to me. At this point now, I put my arm around this, what you might call negative. I did not at the time. Put my arm around her and pulled her in my mind, pulled her into my vibration. As soon as I did that, I felt this lightness about her. Her dress cleaned up. It became a white, beautiful dress. Her hair turned a different color, turned blonde. Her face cleaned itself up. Her teeth cleaned themselves up. And she said to me, my name is Stacy. I said, great. Hi, Stacy. Thank you for joining. And we hugged for a moment. We shared that love. And she disappeared. And I woke up out of my meditation, came out of my meditation. I said, okay, I've got another spirit guide, Stacy, along with all my other spirit guides. Everybody was around. And I set most of my spirit guides up to a task in my life. Protect me from this, protect me from when I'm driving, protect my spirit box work. But I had nobody that was protecting my trumpet work. Trumpet work is a form of physical manifestation from spirit, physical mediumship. So I set Stacy up. I said, Stacy, you can be my protector of trumpet. You can be my spirit guide of my trumpet work. And she was very happy with that. So I let that go for maybe a month or two, told Diane the story, was very happy with myself that I had the strength to call in something like that. But I still had no idea who this Stacy was. So I tell this story to one of my sisters. Now, no, I have 7 brothers and sisters. I told this story to one of my sisters who I was very close to. She's the next one in line after me, in sisters, the next sister. And she said, oh, Donna, you had a imaginary friend when you were a child. And I said, I did. And that was when I start to remember. I said, I did. She said, my sister said, you wouldn't shut up to this imaginary friend. We slept together in the same room, my sister and I. I slept in a trundle bed pull out, and she was on the upper bed. I was on the lower bed. I said, so? She said, you talked all the time. At night, I had to tell you to shut up and go to sleep. You would bring food into the bedroom at night to feed this imaginary friend. I did? She said, yeah. And I said to myself, I wonder why I don't remember. She said, you don't remember because Mom and Grandma, specifically my grandmother, said to Mom and to me, it's just an imaginary friend. Ignore it, and she will stop talking about it. So I recognize now, after speaking to my sister, I never spoke to my mother about it, and my mother's gone now, so I feel like I can talk about it a little more freely. I said to myself, that was probably, I pushed her down. I pushed that imaginary friend down, and now she comes back in this meditation. This is almost 40 plus, 50 plus years later that Stacy comes back. So I asked my sister, without telling her, I asked my sister, did I have a name for her? And she said, I think you did. I think it started with an S. Uh-oh. Okay, here comes more of the story. So she said, I don't remember anything else. Why don't you ask my other sister, Jolene? So I trudge along and go ask my other sister, do you remember me having an imaginary friend? And she said, yes. She wasn't as close to me as my other sister. She said, yes, and I think her name might have been Stacy or Sandy or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's what she said. So I said, Stacy? She said, yeah, Could have been Stacy. She remembered. And the bell went off. And in that moment, the bell in my head went off and Stacy disappeared. Stacy, I saw Stacy gain her wings and fly off. Just fly off. So when I acknowledged Stacy, I could see how angry she might have been that I pushed her down. And all those years, she was down in the depths. And as I did more work on myself and my own inner healing and work with my own inner children, I allowed her to come up. And during that meditation of her appearing, I had to recognize that she wasn't bad. She wasn't negative, but she had some anger. She had some, oh, Donna, you don't want me. You pushed me down so many years ago. Your mother told you not that I didn't exist. Your grandmother told you I didn't exist. So I think that had a lot to do with her, we'll call it anger. It wasn't. But that's why she had to appear to me that way, to get my attention so I can delve deeper into who is Stacy. Now Stacy is gone, and literally just like an angel gains its wings, you hear a bell. That's what I heard and saw her disappear. So now I have nobody as a spirit guide for my trumpet work, but I'll work on that. So that's what I consider a negative spirit, a bad spirit. We'll call them an entity. Have I ever come into an actual negative spirit? A couple times in readings, I will say a lower vibrational spirit has entered, but it was the loved one of my client. So when I said to my client, this entity spirit that is here right now, soul, that was your mother, father, brother, sister, uncle, whatever, is not feeling good to Donna, the medium. So I'm going to push this person away. I'm not going to speak with this entity, this soul. And my client 100% always agreed with me and said, yeah, they weren't the greatest when they were here. So that's what I know about souls when they cross, that they have the option when they cross to hang out in those 1, 2, 3 levels of the other side. And in 1, 2, 3, you could hang out still in that, we'll call it lower vibrational state. You still have an attachment to the human form in 3D. And you might still want to cause some ruckus. I like that word, some ruckus, some poltergeist activity. Yes, I believe that is true. That is true also. Sometimes I choose to work with those lower vibrational souls. Other time, there's just too much going on with them that I choose not to. It doesn't mean that they don't come at another time. I tell my client, look, just keep sending them into the light. Ask all of your guides. Ask them to find their archangels, their own angels, their own guardian angels, so that they can ascend into the light. I don't do hauntings, things like that. I certainly had stories told to me about certain things where I have, gone into my process of looking at that house or something and finding out some things that were confirmed. But I typically don't do that sort of thing. I'd be open to it. I just don't do it. I've had someone tell me once, and that story still sticks with me, about a poltergeist they had in their house. And they would wake up in the morning, and that poltergeist, I'll call it that because I think they're fun, took dental floss and expanded it, rolled it out, and put it in between all their furniture. Just took a roll of dental floss and did that. Now, the person who lived in that house didn't view it as negative, so they said, we enjoy it here. We have fun with it. So that's the first thing you have to distinguish, whether that entity, poltergeist in your home is a lower vibration or not. And there's enough movies out there about lower vibrational entities. All right. That's my story. That's my introduction to Stacy and what I view as lower vibrational souls, entities, or spirits. I'll talk again at another point about extraterrestrials and star beings, which I've had a couple experiences with in the realm of 3D world and also in my mediumship. So, anybody have any questions, or I'll begin to sign off here. I appreciate everybody joining. I appreciate the sharing. I appreciate the likes. Take a look at my, I have on Amazon a book for sale. I have 2 other books that are done. One is another inspirational self-help book with poems from spirit. My 3rd book is a young adult novel that I am actively seeking representation for, either in the form of an agent or a publisher. If anybody knows anybody that knows anybody. I have a 4th and a 5th also in the works at this time. Again, thank you everybody for joining. I appreciate it. I'm gonna log off now. Thanks for sharing. Bye guys. Logging off of Instagram now. See ya. And now I'm gonna log off of YouTube. Thanks you guys for joining. Appreciate it.